She's awesome. She's the sweetest.
So I do a lot of, and this is good because it gives your hands a rest sometimes. If you want to come all the way from top to bottom and get the whole thing, I use the whole length of my arm. I start from the wrist and I go all the way up. So I'll start here and push, and then maybe get kind of broad, like that. You can get it a little more pointed if I'm going to be using like this. And still, if you see the angle that my arm is at, that's a very mild point. But, and you'll need more lotion for this because you'll soak it up. You know what I mean? So don't be surprised if you're trying to work with your arms and stuff if you need to apply more. But even if I'm doing like shoulder blades, my hand is sort of cradling my elbow in that same way that your hand kind of cradles your fist when you're doing this, so that I've got extra control. And so that I'm not just trying to, you know, do like that.
Is that you clicking?
Probably.
Yeah, it's not me.
Is it my, yeah. So kind of in this way. But if you watch how I'm doing this, like my arm is coming up here and I'm using my elbow to go down, but then I'm using my wrist to come back up. So I'm still kind of using my whole arm. You can do, I don't do this. It looked like it was cool, but I've just been like, I don't feel like I can integrate that into my massage. But people sometimes will use both arms and kind of go crosswise. I feel like body mechanics is hard to do like that. But again, using as much as you have to work with. You know, again, coming across this way, I'm going to use this broader, flatter part of my arm on that big muscle here. Ooh, look. What we were talking about earlier. The broader part of my arm, and I can kind of do like this and get a really good pressure going. I can get all the way up through the hips. And it does take some practice and it takes some coordination, but it's kind of that focus thing that we were talking about. You're drawing with your elbow. So you just, as opposed to trying to figure out how to make your arm do what you think it should, just put your point of focus here and draw with it. Like pretend like, you know, you have a marker attached or whatever and you're trying to draw this circle. Okay, I've got my marker on the paper and I'm just kind of drawing that circle. Yeah, I like to do a lot of coming up from the sides. You guys, I've seen a bunch of people doing this. You've discovered that coming from this angle feels good when you're doing shoulder blades and even ribs. That's another great place to use this. To come up like that and come all the way up the sides of those ribs. You can get a lot of good pressure without going very deep, because we don't want to be pushing hard on those bony places. But at the same time, you can really move a lot of meat by using the side of your arm like that. Same thing goes, I don't use my arms a lot on arms. Arms and arms don't mix. But you can do the same thing with legs. Usually it's on either the hamstrings or the quads, the big guys on top. But you can do the same thing.
Sorry.
And I will do this sometimes, but it always makes me nervous if it falls over and then they felt something fall on the table. It just seems weird to me, so if this were me working, I would have it right there. out of my way.
Do you use a holster or do you put it on the ground or use a cup or?
I put it on the ground for now. That's just because that's what I've gotten used to. But I was thinking to myself the other day, they have extra holsters laying around the school. I might want to get one of those because it is nice just to be able to have what you need. But so same sort of way as with the big muscles on the back. You can use this and really get the whole width of the muscle. I'll oftentimes hold on to the other end of my arm for stability. Again, if I've got this arm engaged with this arm, I can use more of my body weight and less of my own strength. So if you're watching my legs right now, I'm just leaning on her and moving forward. Glutes, I use a lot of arms, mostly for pointed knots, like a pinpoint of a knot. So this is where the leg attaches, and this is the top of her hip. You always want to be aware not to separate the cheeks, because that's kind of an odd feeling. Even though they know they're covered, that's like, oh. And you already got that digestive system flowing, so you don't want to encourage any squeaking. But, sorry. But I do a lot of, I wish I had